So welcome. If you're new to my TikTok channel, follow me on TikTok. If you're new to my YouTube, follow me on YouTube, please. I'll be uploading this on YouTube as soon as it comes up. This is a mural that was done in Roubaix, France. Roubaix, France. And as you can see, it's the Statue of Liberty. And this artist called Judith, hang on, her name is Judith de Leeuw. She's a Dutch artist in France. Okay, she's Dutch. And so she decided to do, she was commissioned to do this mural, which is, I think, appropriate. It's called the Statue of Liberty Silent Protest. I don't know if you know, but one of the politicians in France wanted the Statue of Liberty back about 3 or 4 months ago. Of course, it was ignored. I'm not sure what to say regarding the political scene right now, except to say that the corruption is so in everyone's face. I'm not sure what you're seeing on TV. I haven't owned a TV set, to be frank, for about 20 years. Yeah, I haven't seen anything on TV. So whatever I get from a text from a friend around the world. That's how I found out that Notre Dame was, for example, burning. I got 3 texts, 3 different friends around the world saying, did you know it's burning? That's how I found out. I do not have. And yet I know what's going on in the world because, I have, accounts with various social medias and I just see what people are saying. And if I want to deep dive, I go further. So what it shows me, this excuse that boomers, I'm a boomer, by the way, just to be transparent. The excuse boomers have, and that, Gen Xers and millennials have for their parents, is that they don't know how to use a computer. My mother was fucking 84 and could use a computer, so it has nothing to do with that. She could use Dreamweaver. She could use HTML coding. So, that's not going to fly. There are amazing boomers right now. There's one woman, I forgot her name, but she's actually talking about America, racism. She's a Buddhist. She talked about how she took the vows to be a bodhisattva, which is someone who is devoted to speaking the truth. It's someone devoted to helping humanity. And so what happens in the Hindu tradition, not everyone, but typically, you are a householder and you raise your family, and then eventually you take a vow of celibacy and being in service to humanity until you drop your body. And so for many of us, that is the only path left, is to leave the planet as best as we can. It doesn't matter if you were born in 1923, 1947, or 1962, or 2000. It is our duty, once you've done your life, instead of feeling sorry for yourself because the love of your life died or whatever happened and you're alone. There's plenty of shit to do, my friend, plenty. But this statue speaks volumes. Since we didn't want to return the statue, they decided to go ahead and, I guess, show the shame of America, because here we are. And we are attacking the most vulnerable people. Well, we've been attacking our most vulnerable people. In 2000, when 9/11 happened in 2002, thereabouts, all these amazing people volunteered. That'll be the last time we'll ever have anyone volunteer on anybody's war. That's for sure. But happy 4th of July. Enjoy your hot dogs and your fireworks. And I'm not being sarcastic what I'm saying. I'm quite literally. Because shit's going to get real. And you might as well enjoy today. Really, sink into this weekend. And then get really spiritual about what you want to see happen. Do you want to be a prepper and get all excited about the Mad Max world a lot of them want to create? Or do you want to be a newer Earth co-creator, bringing in 5D energy? There's been some incredible stories that I've been getting from certain clients. And one of them is being that we're jumping timelines, and I've been hearing that a lot. I've been jumping timelines as well. You'll also get messages from the universe prodding you to leave a job, a relationship, a country, you will get signs where things go wrong. And it's not a punishment when things go wrong. It is the universe telling you to, get serious about what you want to experience in this incarnation. And if you're attached to shit, attached to your possessions, again, I'll have to remind you, you can't take it with you. It's hard to lose things. It's hard to lose things that you've worked your entire life for. And so it really bodes the question, what are we really working for? Possessions? Photographs? Items? Cars? If the truth is you can't take it with you, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we so hell-bent on acquiring more? I mean, I could see acquiring things that make you comfortable, but like status, why? And it's interesting how some people in the elite community are selling everything they own that has a status symbol attached to it to simplify their life. Some people are actually doing that right now. And I would say to you, use this weekend, especially if you have a long weekend ahead of you, try to meditate, try to journal, like really get off this hamster wheel for these 3 days. And really ask yourself, what is it that you want to see in the next year, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? What kind of world do you want to live in? What kind of existence do you want to experience? And how do you accomplish that? And I would say, I'm going to give you a list of books. And it's time for you to go on Audible and stack up your library. And don't read those books linearly. Read them here and there. You'll be divinely guided to hit chapter 9 out of nowhere, and that chapter will be perfect for you. So the list of books is, and I've spoken about them before, but before we begin with some of the more meatier content, you need the primer books, which is Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe. Number 1. Because if you don't understand how to manifest, if you honestly don't know what the fuck, how it works and so forth, that would be a good primer. The second book, and I know people are talking about The Power of Now, and it is a good book, but I would say to you that the second book after that would be The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. Third book would be Practicing the Power of Now. Yeah, fuck it, jump it. Just jump. Power of Now, yeah, no. Read Practicing the Power of Now, or listen to it, by Eckhart Tolle. You would think, I'd say go ahead and read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Do it if you want, maybe not. I don't know. It's up to you. But then I would go right into The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Then I would go into Journey of Souls by Michael Newton and Destiny of Souls by Michael Newton. Go ahead and toggle between both books. Let your ADHD fucking guide you into different chapters. I'm not kidding. Don't read these books linearly because you're going to get bored. Johanna, I already know how we've been wired, all of us, through scrolling and doom scrolling. So I already know how the mind works, and that's the beauty of Audible, is if it actually jumps you to chapter 10, trust that your guides are telling you to read that and listen to that, whatever, at that moment. Trust the process. I'm not joking. Because it's almost like they're going to curate chapters for you. I'm being told to tell you that. So, like, these are investments to buy all of these books. There are some, I want to start there because if you know me, then maybe you've read all these books. But then, right now we've got a book club that me and Andromeda Flame have been running for the last... since the beginning of this year. And the 2 books that we're looking to bring in, actually there's 3. Oh, and I'm going to tell them to you. The Little Prince by Antoine Saint-Exupéry. Why? Well, because we have forgotten how to be children. And here's why this is important. Because if you have forgotten to be a child, then you will not know how to manifest magic out of the impossible. Like suddenly... sheets over 2 chairs is a tent, and it's a tent in the desert of Saudi Arabia, for example, right? Things of that nature, right? And the reason is to really kind of bring you back to when you were 4, 5. Here's why: because you're closest to God. You were the closest to source. And you didn't have these 3D rules and regulations and the stripping of your passions and the stripping of your imagination, but also your unarticulated knowing of what true existence meant. You couldn't articulate it to the complexities of Asia 2, 3, 4. And then eventually you were wiped clean, or you remembered things here and there. Why is this important? Because if you can actually go back and hack into your inner 4 or 5-year-old, then you will not doubt when I tell you that we can co-create the new earth without any issues. So that's book 1. After that, we're doing The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And then after that, like, we're doing 3 books. We're doing anger, because what's happening right now is there are a lot of people all around the world who are absolutely fucking unhinged. The anger is impotent, toxic, despairing. It's not going to co-create shit. Nothing's going to come out of that. It's okay to have glimmers and shimmers of anger through the cracks, but you have to learn how to manifest an understanding of that inner 3, 4, 5-year-old child that's emerging in impotent anger. You know what I'm saying? And be compassionate. So the book is Anger by Thich Nhat Hanh. Anger by Thich Nhat Hanh. And so hopefully we'll be meeting probably towards the end of the month with The Little Prince, and then moving into The Alchemist and going into that other book. And then after that, we're going to do some heavy, probably groundbreaking shit, which is heavy because our minds need a little massage of happiness. And then we're going to probably go right into, and this is, I'm thinking out loud, The Reveal by David Icke. And I don't agree with everything he has to say, but he has been talking a lot of stuff for a long, long time about what's going on. And then I think we're going to pick a book from Freddie Silver. We can't go wrong with Freddie Silver, whether it's Portals, whether it's his book on sacred spaces, whatever it is, we're going to be good to go. And then we should be wrapping up the year. 5D is the only way out. If you fight 3D with 3D, fire for fire, you are outgunned because they have more resources than you. But what's interesting is that you could say they're spiritualists, but they're going more in the dark aspect of spirituality. They're spiritualists, trust me. But they're going against something much more powerful and infinite, which is the co-creation of our souls when we were made by the one of 1,000 names. And that is unconditional divine love. And that divine love outranks the kind of evil that has emerged for thousands of years. But now we all have cameras and we're all reporters. So July 4th, this particular year, if you look at the numerology, and I told you a long time ago, I don't know if you remember this, I told you last year that 2025 was the year 9. 9 is a master number. It's connected to God. It's the frequency of co-creation with the universe. This is the year of manifesting, 2025. When you add 7, okay, because we're not even going to add 9 because this is one of the reasons why it's a powerful number. When you add 7, right, plus 4, what is that? It's 11, right? It's the muzzle line. If you add 9 to that, it's 20, judgment. Interesting, isn't it? Judgment. All right. And what is judgment? Where it's people coming out. There's death on a white horse, on a pale horse. Hello, how interesting. And people coming out of the coffin. What does that sound like? I think you can guess. But when you add, when you take it down to the single digit compound number of 2, right? It goes from 20 to 2. It connects to the high priestess. She's connected to the moon. And what's interesting about the moon is you can still take a long walk in the woods by moonlight. But not everything is in clear view, right? There's silhouettes and shadows and so on. It can be scary because you're unsure of yourself. But it's connected to the high priestess, who is connected to the infinite. She is psychic. She is magical. She can actually she'll get massive downloads. Her third eye is completely fully opened, and she's able to walk through the moonlight with the same clarity as if it was the sunlight, because she trusts her downloads. She knows when she's getting corrupted downloads. What does that all mean? Well, it means that you have an opportunity to actually co-create the next 10 years, and that you actually have to get involved. And some of the things that you're going to have to do are things that you have been remiss in, which is meditation to control your, behold the pale horse, yes. And so, who's the dude behind the hands? You can't, you don't know who that is? That's the Statue of Liberty. It's actually the Statue of Liberty sobbing. And it was done by Dutch artists, a female Dutch artist who actually painted it in 6 days in the city of Roubaix, I believe, in France, since the government of America didn't want to return the Statue of Liberty after all the fuckery. So, there it is. And that makes absolute sense to me. That is why she is weeping. She is weeping at the injustice. And she promised so much. And she didn't break her word, but the leaders of the 1%, I should call them the dogs of the 1%, have broken their word a long time ago. And she was a symbol to so many people, that she was a symbol to many of your ancestors. And it didn't matter what race you were. If you watch the movie, the show 1923, you should watch it just for the Ellis Island part where they're treating people like cattle, like animal, the way they treated people. I don't think we've ever treated people really with any type of respect and dignity, to be honest. I'm starting to realize that as I see certain things. And many of the books I've read and things I've listened to, interviews and so forth, I don't know what it is. There's something toxic and about us. And we need to all look at ourselves and be really radically honest and say, what are my problems? Am I racist? Am I homophobic? Am I jealous? Am I arrogant? What is my deal? Am I fearful? You know what I mean? Am I uncaring? I mean, I doubt you're uncaring because, many of you would keep scrolling, to be honest. So, looks like Hannibal. I don't think so. Okay, listen. Hang on. Let me do this. To be honest with you, I feel as if we have a long way to go. And I feel like we are being asked to grow up. This country is 250 years old. And you have to understand Europe, so for example, Paris, just the city of Paris, the city of London, these are at least 1,500 years old. So just saying, we got to kind of get fucking real. We can't walk around swaggering like we fucking know it all, because we don't. We fucking don't. I remember reading a book about the Huguenot Wars between the Catholics and the Huguenots, meaning Protestants, in France in the Middle Ages. And they were literally ripping Huguenots out of their homes, throwing them out of windows into the Seine River. And they said this is when the Seine River turned red. I'll never forget that. And so we as human beings are not blemish-free. We are filled with rancor and rage and jealousy and holier than thou. And God knows we've used the Bible to a lot of harm. Actually, every religion has used their little books, their holy books, to start bullshit wars. The only ones that I can say that haven't started wars is probably Buddhism. I'm not joking. And I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not even saying that because I'm a Buddhist, because I'm not at all. But I'm just saying, I've seen Buddhist monks and nuns self-immolate, okay? to start a war because they're pacifists, but I've never seen them start a fucking war. Yeah, be a Buddhist or else at sword point. Kneel to us and be a Buddhist or else. I have never seen that with Buddhism. That should tell you something. If you're looking for religion, no, and again, I don't follow any, but if I were going to do one, it would probably be that one. And I actually do have Buddha all over my house, but I also have Krishna. So, I don't know what to say. But what I will say is that we are at a crossroads. And the crossroads, you determine. Thought become matter. Again, this is science. This is not woohoo. This is not new age. This is not bullshit. It's actually science. They have determined in labs that what your thoughts are create matter activities. They start actually forming whatever. They start moving. And so what I want you to think about is, what do you want to leave behind when you drop your body? What kind of country do you want to leave behind? And as things progress, some of you will be given a choice to leave. I'm going to be straight up. And many of you are looking to leave. And many of you should. Because if you have a hunger to leave, you're being divinely guided by your angels. They're whispering in your ear to leave. And some of you are being told to stay. Trust what you're being told to do. Whatever comes through, determine if it's your fear. Especially if you want to say, are you afraid of not knowing, I don't know Portuguese. Okay, well, fucking learn. Well, I don't know Japanese. Learn. I've never seen an American who, in fact, I used to say when I was a kid, my favorite Americans were expats. All the Americans I adored lived in Japan, Hong Kong, Philippines, all over France, all over Europe, wherever, London, wherever. And in Italy, it was amazing how many people I met through my family, through my father. And my father knew, he knew French, Italian, and German. And he was born in the ghettos of Trenton, New Jersey. So, you can learn the language, trust me. He knew 3, sure, was it broken English? So what? He conversed very well. He struck business deals in all 3 languages. So what I'm going to say to you is, don't limit yourself. If you feel like you need to, then leave. If you feel like you need to stay, there's a reason why you need to stay. But do not stay because of language. That should never be the reason. You should have a higher calling for staying, a higher desire, a higher need. It could be that you are like we all are. We're all quartz crystals, right? And I don't know if you've ever picked a quartz crystal, or rather it picked you. And you put it to your chest and you put it to your throat and you go, oh, fuck, yeah, I got to buy this. Like, I can't leave this store without this, right? And so you are like that. And some of us have to stay in this country, and some of us are being called to other parts of the world to kind of create a quartz crystal grid with our bodies, with our essence, our auric field. And that's really, and so this weekend, don't just get drunk and try to forget the reality of the now. Yeah, enjoy your beer. Enjoy your glass of wine or champagne or whatever you're smoking. But don't take it to the level where you pass out. Don't do what you've always done when things go hard. Don't run from any of this. I want you to go inward and ask your guides and ask God to speak to you. Have you done that lately? When was the last time you spoke to your archangels or to your guides or to God, the essence of God, and said, I really need your help. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm not sure what is my duty here. What am I supposed to, like, what's my part in this whole thing? And make sure that you're not doing it from a Rambo stance, a Sarah Connor stance. Make sure that whatever you decide, it's coming from a high vibration, because I can tell you that the Rambo and the Sarah Connor energy is not a frequency match to 5D. It isn't. Have you thought about that? Well, I mean, you can look at the results and see that I'm not wrong. So any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? So again, this mural is in France. It's in Roubaix, France. It was done by a Dutch artist, and it's called the Statue of Liberty's Regret. Okay, and I thought that was I was shocked. It came on my feed, on TikTok, as a matter of fact, and I was shocked in a good way. It was good to see that, even, that, I hate to say it, apparently, let me just jump to this thought. Roubaix, France has a huge immigrant population. Immigration, let's talk about that. The alphabet channel of this country has fucked with so many, and another alphabet channel in another part of the world. I think you know the one that thinks they have a right to defend themselves. That one, yeah. They've been fucking with various countries around the world for at least, I'd say, 75 years. At least. Yeah, I'm correct. 75 years. I just realized that yeah. And so when you fuck with countries and you remove good leaders to replace them with pieces of shit, the chickens will come home to roost. And Malcolm X said that. He wasn't wrong. So when we complain all over Europe and the US over the increase of immigrant, which I think I could see Europe complaining. I can't see America complaining because the whole fucking country is based on immigration. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. It makes me laugh because it's like literally this country was based on immigrants. The Irish came here, the Poles, the Italians. Do I have to fucking come up with a list? And then, of course, we had the unwilling immigrants in the form of slavery, indentured slavery, lifelong slavery, generational slavery, right? So at the end of the day, I think we're barking up the wrong tree, but I can tell you that the British and the French are not innocent in having fucked up a lot of great leaders that were really good for their people, and they were removed. And then their own choice put in. And I still can't even fathom that Idi Amin died of old age. I still can't fathom that. I don't know if you know who Idi Amin is, but when I was a kid, he was a terror in Africa. I forgot what part of Africa. I really didn't know. I didn't want to know shit about him, actually. So but I remember seeing a couple documentaries when I was probably way too young to see shit like that brutal. And it was brutal. Fucking brutal. And I'm still shocked he died of old age. Still. It's shocking to me. And if it's before your time, you should find out who he was, because he was a monster. Yep. Coup after coup after coup. Tough day. All the patriotic hubris around me. Government uses patriotism to shrink rap minds. Very good. Yeah. Look up this mural. Yeah. The Statue of Liberty's Regret. It's a great, and she did it in 6 days. This woman, this Dutch artist, and yeah, it's been one coup after another, and they are still allowed to get a paycheck. They're still allowed. They still have think tanks working for those agencies, and it's not just this one, but there's another agency, related to another part of the world, and I won't go into it. And it's not Russia at all. It's not Russia. I don't know. I wish I could tell you that there's another way, but I have been absolutely focused on 5D. That's all I think about. That's all I imagine when I'm taking a shower, when I'm driving myself, or I chant when I'm troubled. I chant my mantras, the ones that's on my playlist on my TikTok account. There are chants you should learn, Ahom Prema, Om Namah Shivaya, because we are getting our asses fucking slammed. And the sad part about us as human beings is that we do not pay attention until it fucking hurts. It's like a rub burn, right? Or like somebody twisting our arm behind our back, and you're like, okay, let go my arm, And it's like at that point we realize how serious it is. And I'm not sure why we're wired like that, but I really don't see us being wired like that in 5D. I feel like as if Everything flows. There's a different frequency of consciousness. There's a complete total recall of our beginnings, of how we were made and so forth. I mean, sure, it's kind of like not remembering when you turned 7 and which kind of cake your mom got you, but you remember most of it, you know what I mean, in 5D. Whereas we in 3D, fucking most people don't remember jack shit. So it's a way better situation in 5D. So yeah, that's all I can tell you. 5D is the only answer. There's no other answer. You're not going to win this. They're much more organized than they were, say, 100 years ago. They've got satellites. They got all kinds of shit. Technology that they've never actually revealed for the right reasons. Like, you remember the DRO? Oh no, let's call them Dior bags. You remember she kind of coined that, Bethany Frankel? The Dior bags, because she was getting fucking flagged. Okay, Dior bags were the DRONES. Okay, and so I believe, you know, so Dior drones. Okay, so that was not from any extraterrestrial beings at all. The ORBS were from other realms, and that was not Project Bluebeam. Not yet. But, and why am I saying that? Well, because I saw and listened to people I've been following for absolute years. I mean, 5 years. And they said some of them were lucky enough to drive all the way. In some cases, some of them drove to New Jersey to go and, investigate. And in front of that, beautiful globes, those globes that were moving and shifting and light that looked like archangels. Okay, those, globes, I'm going to call them globes. Those beautiful, that were pulsing with plasmic power, she said she actually dropped to her knees. She said the love emanating from that, you can't make that shit up. You can't make that shit up. But the Dior bags, the little machines that look like SUVs, yeah, that was all hidden technology. And what was interesting, they fucked with the weather, so we couldn't see the globes for much longer, right? The globes, there were clouds, cloudy nights. People started staying outside to hopefully get a glimpse of their own globe, and the globe never came. But to be honest with you, for a long, long time, people have been taking photos of tiny little globes. Tiny little globes. Have you ever seen that? They look like bubbles, and they look like various colors, shimmering gold, and they float around a person that's really happy. They've got not special cameras, but much more sensitive cameras that have captured it. I know when I've taken pictures of my son with just a 35 millimeter Minolta from the 1970s, I was capturing little orbs, little globes, bubbles around him. And and you probably have that in your photo album too, if you really remember, of these little entities floating around you, right? Because you're joyous. They've done tests with music, people singing, people walking in the woods feeling so good, and people shooting photos to see if they could capture these beautiful globes, and sure enough, there they are. And so what we saw in the sky, or what was reported back to us, was the real deal. Project Bluebeam, you should do some research. I did a whole reading. Well, no, I didn't read the whole book because it's TikTok. They'll pull the fucking rug. Project Bluebeam, try to find the one that has the entire manuscript. Try to find the verbatim one written by, I forgot his name, but he died mysteriously of a heart attack. And get the one where it's not somebody else talking about it. It's him. It's his work directly. It's on Amazon, and you could probably find it on eBay for a lot less. But get the title, and then there's only 2 books on Amazon. One is authored by some other dude, which I didn't even bother buying, and the other one is good. And you can go back to my my YouTube channel and see if you can find what I was reading, because I was reading it and talking about Project Bluebeam. And so what we saw when we had those little globes in the sky, they weren't little, they were fucking huge. That was not Project Bluebeam, not yet, because of the reports I saw. People coming back, and this one particular historian, archaeologist, anthropologist type chick, she's very spiritual. She talks about Anunnaki. She talks about a lot of stuff. She definitely, her energy is, seriously solid. And If she didn't feel shit, she wouldn't have said anything. And she said she was absolutely overwhelmed with emotions and love from this energy. There's a lot of things they can replicate, but they're not going to be able to replicate emotions unless they can replicate it through egregores. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Lourdes, Lourdes. And I saw this a long time ago. I probably was like 9 or 10 years old. But it was a movie about these two sisters or two girls, I forgot exactly, in Lourdes. And they could see Mother Mary in the sky. And so they would spend, and so the word went out and they started going. And a whole touristic business is of the Lourdes water and to drink the waters, and also the fact that there was an apparition that I don't know how long it lasted. It could have been a week, could have been a month, I forgot. But anyway, they claimed they saw it. And some other people claimed they saw Mother Mary up in the sky floating as well. And so we have to realize that apparitions will happen. We will see. In fact, if you are spiritualist, you've had your own apparitions. You've had your own globes. You've had your own flames. And you've had your own souls that have not crossed over, that have been trapped. Or, and this is interesting, I'm going to share this with you. There were a couple places when I was in Paris. I was about 18 years old. And when I went to Versailles, we had gone in the winter, so there was absolutely no one there. And I felt the holographic imprint of people from the 17th century. I kid you not. Then there was a street called the Rue Saint-Denis, and there was a couple other streets in Paris that were really kind of a little bit rough, a little bit dicey, but you could feel the holographic imprint of people who had been there. In, again, 1700 was a very strong imprint. And I remember years later talking to one of my Persian friends and a couple of my American friends, and they all fucking said, "Oh my God, I thought it was me." And so a lot of people were reporting, well, a lot of people, a total of 5 in my little circle had reported that they too had felt the imprint of previous people walking, on the streets of Paris, for example. And there's something about Paris. And I think it's because, well, it has a history of revolutions, as you probably know. The cobblestones, quite often in the quartier, the cobblestones would be grabbed off the ground and used as weapons, and also used to barricade themselves in quartiers, in other words, in blocks, city blocks. And then, of course, when they were done with their business of revolting, the actual cobblestones were put back into the ground. It could be that. It could be that there was so much emotions around these revolts and the cobblestones being stones, because they were stones, that they would have captured the imprints of the energies of that time. It could be that. But I can tell you that I saw what I saw. Okay? In terms of Versailles, again, the level of anxiety and massive partying in the Versailles court is well known. And there was both anxiety, okay, as well as hedonism, So both of these energies would have been so heightened that there would have been left an imprint of some kind. Not to mention Chartres, which is a cathedral, which is much more interesting to me than the Notre Dame. Trust me, I've been to the Notre Dame a few times, including their, Christmas sermon at midnight, right, with my grandmother when I was a little tiny kid, and I still remember it. But I never went to Chartres, and Chartres has fascinated me because, again, the Knights Templars built it in honor of the Blue Madonna, aka the Black Madonna, and they use sacred geometry, and there's a labyrinth there and so forth. And those men were very, very mystical, very magical, very powerful. And so there's some energies in some of these ancient places, similarly to what there were many buildings in America in the turn of the century, that were built by the 1890s. There were some massive buildings. A lot of people are talking about Tartara and this Tartara civilization. and how many of these buildings were destroyed. Maybe because there was a massive frequency. What's interesting is that the Europeans, I mean, you can actually live in an apartment that's 800 years old. You can actually buy a cottage that's 900 years old. And you know this. You've seen people actually post, oh, I just bought a cottage in the middle of nowhere in England for, it's 800 years old. So you know. So the imprints of these places are real. And again, holographic, it's not ghosts that you're seeing. Sometimes, sure, it is. But no, in most cases, it's the holographic imprint. It's almost like me leaving my thumbprint on a glass. I die, I drop my body, and my thumbprint is perpetually in that glass for as long as it's never cleaned. And that fascinates me, the concept of the holographic imprint. And it's something that we feel, and I don't know if you've ever felt it, when you walk in the woods and you can feel Native American energy. You can feel their footsteps. You can feel, or you might even see an original, it's the weirdest thing. You see it, but you don't see it, but you see it, of a warrior or a young woman or an elder walking right through or right past you. And you're like, what the fuck? And so being empathic, being sensitive to such things, and not gaslighting yourself is really going to be important, And you might not see anything, but you may feel the pulse of the energy of a particular place, and you'll say to yourself, this must have been holy place for the indigenous people of America. Or you might think, maybe this was a burial ground. Maybe this was, people do that all the time. They'll think, well, maybe this was a burial ground for the indigenous people of America. And the lack of respect of the 1%. They'll all go to France. They'll all go to Switzerland. They'll all go to England and go be, oh my God, this is so incredible, the architecture. But the American 1% have no fucking respect for their own architecture, Art Deco architecture, nothing like that. And so anything that can actually give you a resonance is being destroyed. They're finding reasons to just, knock these buildings down, and they don't need a lot of reasons. Right now, we live in a time where everything is going to be sold like a 99-cent store sale. It reminds me of Gordon Gekko when he would buy companies to dismantle them. Do you remember? That was the whole point of his wealth. He would take companies that were floundering, that could have needed some help, that could have made it, and then he would dismantle it piece by piece to make a profit. That was the essence of it. And so what you're watching is the current president literally selling out everything. Meanwhile, you have very conniving ranchers and people who raise sheep, who are doing all they can to kill wolves and kill them off and remove and kill every fucking Mustang. Every fucking Mustang. Their bloodlines can be traced back to the conquistadors. And the conquistadors had been taken over by the Moors for 800 years. So you've got the Arabian bloodlines in those horses. You can see it in their muzzles and their faces. You can see it in some of these stallions. Some of these mares. And the one thing you guys have in this country are Mustangs. No one else. They don't have Mustangs in Australia. They have a different type of horse. It's a different type of wild horse. They don't have Mustangs in France. It's called they're the wild ponies of Camargue. They're different. And why does that matter? Because it's a symbol. It's very similar to when I saw them blowing up the Buddhas in Afghanistan. Small thing. What do you give a shit, right? Gas is still $3 a shot, right? In those days, you can still get gas for $3, right? But I remember that when they were blowing up those Buddhas, I was like, holy shit, that's a symbol to something else coming. That is a symbol. And we're talking about Buddhas that have been carved into the mountains for 8, 9, 1,000 years. 5-story high. Absolutely incinerated to nothing. The only people that really cared were the people who were excavationists, anthropologists, historians, the Buddhist community. And they tried to pay them to remove them. They tried to pay the Taliban, please let us remove them. They refused. They wanted to destroy. When we are in a culture of people who want to destroy, rather than to value culture, especially culture that is very ancient, we have a problem. And so everything you're hearing is an interconnected switch that is meant to wake you up. But what you must understand is you cannot allow your emotions to go into massive depression and despair or massive toxic impotent rage. These two emotions will not help anyone, not you, not me, and not the quest to open ourselves into 5D. Do you understand that? And so you're going to have to modulate yourself through your meditations, your chanting, your visualization. That is your power. That is the power that the 1% fear about you. You. Yeah, you, Joe. You, Liz. You, Elizabeth. You, Caroline. You. And that's really the most important thing that you can harness. Because so far they've harnessed my mind, your mind, for thousands of years with success under the egregore of fear, self-defeat, and submission. Our minds are the most incredibly, most powerful things. They have convinced pregnant women in the 50s to fucking smoke cigarettes. They convinced pregnant women to fucking take a cocktail. There were a lot of things they convinced people to do. Easily. So when I tell you that they're much better at this shit than you've ever could imagine, I talked about, think tanks that have outdone Machiavelli himself. And if you don't know who Machiavelli is, and if you don't know anything about, what he created with the Prince, using the Borgias as his template, then I really think you should buy the book, The Prince by Machiavelli. Nicholas Machiavelli. It's 148 pages. You might get bored. Fucking read it. Because it is the beginning of pure maniacal evil manipulation. He broke it down. It's a blueprint. Why is it important? Because when a woman realizes that she has breast cancer, she wants to know if it's in her right breast or left breast. Why? Well, so she can start meditating and breathing to dissolve it. Doing pranayama breathing. So that she understands what she needs to focus on, in her case. And what she focuses on is she'll beam beautiful light into that part that's not healthy. The tissue is not healthy. And then she'll imagine herself in the present tense, making love, having fun, completely 100% healthy. And she trusts also her soul contract. She trusts her soul contract. What does that mean? It means if it doesn't work, let's say it doesn't work, she makes sure that it didn't work because it wasn't because she didn't believe in what she could do. It doesn't work because that was not the contract. The contract was for her too. That was her exit. That was her exit. This was her day of reckoning to drop her body. Do you understand? So to be a 5D person is to really do your best and allow the universe to guide you to honor your contract. And hopefully you will be here to see 5D. You will be alive to see it in this incarnation, or you will incarnate at some point when you're ready, because this planet, as I say quite often, is beautiful. It's not the planet that's the problem. It's the 1% controlling it that's the problem. None of us have a problem with the beauty and diversity of this planet. we have a problem with the fact that we have to pay to play. We have to pay for everything. And there was a time when people did not need to do that at all. They could enjoy. They could make love. They could read. They could talk. They could study. They could do their art. They could create a bookshelf or a rocking chair, or whatever the fuck they wanted to do. They would plant their food and harvest. They would do what they wanted to do. And they were not molested by anything. This was before, probably 3,000 years ago. And I'm going to mention it again because it's important. Recently, it was shown through Egyptologists. They came across a mummy and they did a DNA test, and they were shocked to find that the mummy wasn't pure Egyptian. It had 20% Mesopotamian blood. In my book, Recall, which is set, it's a true story, it's set in a past life 3,500 years ago, 3,500 years BCE. The queen, her brothers live in Egypt. They just found out that we have been trading with Egyptian and Mesopotamians just now. They just found out. And in our past lives, we can actually remember things that historians still don't fucking know happened. That's my point. So you actually have a lot more data and a lot more information, and you can plug in to the Akashic library and ask for what you need to understand and remember. But I want you to have a happy 4th of July. And I want you to have a happy weekend. But I also want you to take this as a time of repose and self-excavation as to how you're going to stop letting your monkey mind beat the shit out of you and own you. And when you're going to make a vow to yourself that you are going to get your shit together, you're going to meditate every day, you're going to chant every day, you're going to fucking do whatever the hell, just like you make a commitment to go to the gym every day, or whatever the hell you committed to. I need you to own your mind and not let it be owned by others, other forces, your job, your religion, social media. I need you to own yourself. And I need you to go within yourself deeply this weekend and use this time of healing, of creating a new contract. You can. I have a guided meditation I did, I think it was with Andromeda Flame, of breaking the old 3D contract with planet Earth. Swear to God, I'm not kidding. And actually rewriting a brand new contract based on 5D agreements with this planet and with the universe, with God. Because I realized that how in the hell are we going to get forward in these incarnations? How are we not going to loop if we don't actually break the old contract and start a new one? It's very similar to having an old contract, right? With your lover and saying, well, this isn't working. Let's rewrite a new contract. And you do. And then it works. There's still some bumps, but it works a lot better. Because now there's new rules of engagement. So it's on my guided meditation template in my YouTube channel. You can find it there. Then the playlist is guided meditation. It's very simple. So you might want to do that and rewrite it this weekend. Rewrite your contract with planet Earth, with your, like literally say, don't say what you don't want. Very bad. Say what you want. I break all contracts. I'll give you an example. I break all contracts across every timeline, concurrent incarnations, past incarnations, future incarnations that have kept me looped in 3D. I'm so grateful now. I now receive 5D and above frequencies and connections for the following incarnations, concurrent incarnations, future incarnations, and so it is. Something like that, right? Something very simple. Make it your own. Do the 4 corners above and below before you do it. I'm not joking. Like this is a ceremony. This is not something you just do in between filing your nails and watching, I don't know, Leave It to Beaver, like a rerun of a show. This is really ceremonious. This is white candle time. This is saging yourself time. This is like getting your shit together, maybe taking a bath, you know, with like Celtic salt or, you know, Himalayan salt, and sitting there and chanting, and then getting up and drying yourself, saging yourself, getting into the room, getting into your mode, having your journal, and declaring it. Declaring what you want in the present tense with gratitude. And the what happens is the contract is broken. 3D shit ends. And more magic happens. There will be still particles that will still be, you know, here and there. You'll feel it, but you'll see a massive purging. Very similar to a fast, or when you do a colonic, or I'm just being very brutal about it, but like if you did an enema, there's going to be massive purging, right? So it's not always fun, is it? It's a little painful. It could be a little uncomfortable, but it's well worth it. And it's why some of us sought moldavite crystals, because we knew. I don't know why they're telling people, oh, moldavite will bring you good luck. No, moldavite will tear your shit down. Everything you thought you wanted, everything you clung to, it will tear it down. A real moldavite crystal makes you nauseous. A real most of the shit out there is fucking fake now. It's fake. And you should not buy one online. You should actually stand in front of it, put it to your heart chakra, put it to your third eye, and if you don't feel like you've just been punched in your third eye, it's not a real mold. I don't give a fuck what they say. You should feel intense, like massive intention. I mean, massive. And it will help you. You know, if you decide to get one. But be careful, because they're not. But anyway, going back to that, you will feel that shift happen. Once you break the 3D looping contract, game over, and now you're on the you've basically made the commitment. I'm all 5D. 5D or better. And this is a very powerful way to reset yourself. Okay? And I think we're good. I'm going to let you go. I've got a lot of things to do, but I wanted to thank you. If you missed this live, it's going to be on YouTube. I'll upload it for you guys. And again, this is a beautiful mural made by this Dutch artist. What is her name? Judith de Leeuw, something like that, de Leeuw. And she made this mural in France, and it's called The Statue of Liberty Has Regret. Something like that. And I thought it was brilliant, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And go look it up on YouTube, the statue. Just look up French mural. The Statue of Liberty Has Regret mural, and you'll find it. And it's everywhere. It's fucking everywhere. She had painted this in 6 days. And it was revealed yesterday on the... listen, there's no fucking accidents. A lot of people have decided not to celebrate. I'm telling you, celebrate 5D New Earth. Okay? Celebrate, but first become one of the architects of what you want, and make sure that you stop thinking logically. Stop going in your mind, well, it's not logical, it could never happen. No, stop. Stop doing that. Okay? The telepathy tapes with these kids that have autism, nonverbal, and I knew this years ago, fucking years ago, but because these kids are psychic. They're nonverbal. That doesn't mean they don't have brains. Nonverbal means I'm telepathic. Nonverbal means I can actually probably calculate everything. Some of them are savants. Savant meaning like this kid. There's this kid that's in his early 20s he was, and you can fly him in a helicopter over like Rome, and he did Rome verbatim. He didn't miss a fucking building. Swear to God. So we have a gold mine of these brilliant minds that may not be verbal. I mean, look at how we fucking can't even communicate with each other. We're not doing too good with words anyway. But anyway, beside the point, these kids are telepathic. And I remember I had a special ed attorney a long, long time ago, and I spoke to him about something. And he said the IQ test they put into public schools, they do not test creativity. They do not test nonverbal. They don't. But when these kids were tested, they went from having IQ tests, results of 75 to 150. How the fuck do you explain that? These kids were a lot smarter. And in fact, these kids were coming out genius. So when you look at 5D, my point to this is, when you look at 5D, we will have sentient beings, we'll have humanoids and human beings that are telepathic. Absolutely telepathic. That's how they'll communicate. They will be able, and we will be able to hear everything they say. Look at these cats and dogs hitting their little, things to talk to their owners. Those little, those little bubbles. I'm hungry. I'm mad. I want a treat now. Now, mommy. Things like that. Well, we're fucking seeing animals talk, basically. We've got a law that says we're not allowed to talk to dolphins, hang out with dolphins, and connect with dolphins. Well, why not? So it's weird, you know what I mean? There's a lot of weird shit going on right now in a good way, So when you manifest 5D, go fucking wild. Remember when I told you, get The Little Prince, the book by Antoine Saint-Exupéry? Get the book. I need you to rewire yourself back to when you're 5, when you had just stepped into the body, when you were like a newborn, when you still remember your origins, when you still knew the love, the divine unconditional love of God. You were still sitting in that frothy, beautiful pink glow of love. Okay? And that was the time when you didn't think anything was limited. The limitations were taught to us by well-meaning parents and asshole public educational, private educational systems to make us comply, right? They beat us with shame. Oh, you got an F. You suck as a professor. It's like incredible. Oh, you're not sitting still, Billy. Yeah, Billy should be climbing a fucking tree, not sitting there for 8 hours. But, so when you visualize 5D, don't come from this timeline. Don't come from the way you've been wired and brainwashed. Come from a place of a child. What would a child want? How magical would it be? Could you actually imagine, could you wrinkle your nose like Bewitched and have a fucking rocking chair appear in 5D? How do you know that's not possible? How do you fucking know? There are people levitating right now. There are monks right now who can levitate off the ground. There are monks right now who you can actually douse with ice water, strip them nude, and they will be hot as fucking, they'll be 90 degrees. It'll be like literally ice will melt off them because they're so hot, because they put their consciousness that they're not going to freeze to death. We have every example we need to know that the impossible is possible. Every example. And the only thing that's going to stop you from actually manifesting and co-creating the architecture of 5D is your monkey mind, which has been controlled by the 1% for every incarnation you've ever existed, including when you were part of the 1%, by the way, on the side note, just in case one of you wants to be cute. Even that's a brainwashing. Don't you see that? Irregardless, own your mind, rewire it. Literally smash it to smithereens and reset it back to your original self before we were in this machine. And you will be able to create this 5D. And the 5D is right here. It's literally right here. The problem is that many of you can't see it, can't feel it, and many of you are rejecting it. And you're rejecting it, and it's making others like us on my side of the table who are saying, I could feel it, I touched it, and fuck, it's gone. It's like breathing like a lung, in and out, expanding in and out, and we can, sometimes we can touch it. We're there, and there are too many people who believe in this bullshit existence as the only reality possible, and it's preventing many. And it's not blame shame, it's not shifting. Eventually what will happen is some of us will actually go into massive retreats to literally unplug fully from the matrix so that we can actually step out of it into 5D. As long as some of us are still locked into the matrix, we're still part of the egregore. It's still brushing our shoulders. It's still somehow preventing us from literally rubber banding into, like, catapulted into 5D. But that's why some of us are looking and talking about communities. And why? Well, because if a community has the same vision, and I don't mean a hive mentality, when I say same vision, a similar type of vision. Communities, love, generosity, justice, abundance, your basics, nothing crazy. And so that, being around people like that, increases the frequency to become a match, and then we can just literally cross over. Anyway, so I want to thank you. If you missed this, please follow me on YouTube. And I want to thank you so much. It goes deep, yeah. Anyway, any questions before I let you go? Any questions? Any questions or comments? Thank you, my love. And follow me on YouTube. I'm going to be posting this up. Been meaning to watch them. I know they are telepathic. Yeah, man, I'm telling you. I mean, Abraham Hicks was talking about the kids on the autistic spectrum way back. When was this? I think it was 2007. And she said, right on, she said, they will continue to incarnate until we stop wanting everyone to fit in the fucking, in the round hole. That the autistic community was there to basically tell us we were fucked up. And I'm not joking, because we had all been brainwashed to act a certain way, to be subservient, to listen, to do what you're told, to pass these exams. And these kids came in going, and literally wrecking a room. I'm not joking. And basically like rock and roll stars, like trashing a hotel room, trashing a fucking schoolroom, saying this is bullshit without saying it, right? And a lot of these kids have been harmed. A lot of these kids have been pharmaceutically lobotomized. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And a lot of these kids have survived. They're coming out in their 20s talking, and they're fucking absolutely brilliant. And one of the things that's very interesting about these kids, and I noticed this a long time ago, is damn near all of them have beautiful faces and large, expressive eyes. I'm not kidding. It's something that I started seeing. I was like, wait, hang on. Oh my God. And I like my friend, both of her boys have the faces of Botticelli angels. I'm not joking. Absolutely. So that's my point, is that they made them, it's almost like it was by design, because like, like why would they all be so pretty or beautiful? Why? It's so weird. And they were so, their behavioral challenges, every parent I've ever spoken to that's gone through that, every behavioral challenges grew them as parents. They said, if it wasn't for that kid, I would still be the selfish asshole I was. That kid showed me how to be real. Because if I was inauthentic, that kid would have a meltdown. It was almost like you had a moonstone, except the moonstone would rage and shake and throw shit all over the house. But what I found is that many parents would say, without that kid, I would have been an asshole. That kid saved my life. I'm a better human being because of this child. Like I don't regret having this child. That's not every parent, because a lot of these parents threw their kids away. Just threw them away because they had a spare, an heir and a spare, they had a spare. But parents that really just saw the spiritual component of this went deep and did their work and came out magnificent. I'm thinking of one particular friend of mine that went through this, and she was very, very, very privileged. It's on Spotify. It's called the Telepathic Tapes. The Telepathy Tapes, something like that. My rainbow child nephew, 16, is practicing astral traveling, meditation, and telekinesis. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and these are, I feel, honestly, and I just got hit really hard, that some of these kids are kids reincarnated from Buddhist temples. I just got the hit. And Tibetan temples, before the Tibetan temples were annihilated by or reconstructed by who. If you go in the world globe, Tibet's no longer on the map. You know that, right? Not as a country anyway. It's been, Pac-Maned up. So, and its people have been absolutely destroyed. They used the classic grape, since we're using that fruit for a term of absolute trauma. But grape has been used throughout the centuries to annihilate. I remember that was during the Serbian War, Bosnian Serbian War, between the Muslim and the Christian. Happy religions, and I remember grape has always been part of it, always. So you annihilate the men and the boys. You annihilate in front of the women, and then you take the women and you make sure that your seed is planted so that, and this is ancient shit. Ancient. And so when we incarnate as women, we bring in with the womb, the DNA womb trauma of that. That's why that's why a lot of women have bad periods. I'm going to be straight up. That's not just your body in this incarnation. It's not even just your lineage. It's the shit you went through every time you were a woman in the ancient barbaric world. And now finally people are coming out with how they were breeding and using women as breeders right here in this country for slavery, to breed more like cattle, like literally like horses, cattle, whatever. That shit, yeah, you drop your body, but you can incarnate again as a woman, and you're bringing in that DNA holographic memory of that. That's why they call them, in Sanskrit it's called samskaras, impressions. That's why people will have scars, like a birthmark, and then they'll go into a hypnotherapy session and go, wait, hang on, somebody stabbed me right behind my left lung, and right behind their shoulder blade below that, there is a scar. But it's not a scar, it's actually a birthmark. So we carry that shit with us, and so the trauma is real. So in this live, I did mention some books. So you might want to, make sure to watch this live when I upload it tonight. It might be tonight. Upload it, check it out, and write down the list. Take your time. I would suggest you look up the books I mentioned on eBay. Sometimes the books are $4.55, free shipping. Swear to God, you could get every book. But in terms of Audible, quite often I'll buy a hard copy book, and then I'll have the Audible version. Why? Well, because I might be driving 7 hours, and I'm going to get my fucking brain educated. If all else, I'm not going to listen to just whatever music. I'm going to actually educate myself. And then when I go home, I can highlight certain things that I really liked, or I can be in silence and listen to high frequency focused music. And then there's an app, I'm jumping to this. There's an app I'm using called Moongate. Okay, Moongate. And I love their high frequency music. I know for a fact that I'm not getting fucked over, because now YouTube is putting out, YouTube has been putting out high frequency music for a long time, but I personally have avoided YouTube because we've got nefarious hands playing games. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm repeating myself again, but 440 hertz is being used for guided meditations, and we know that 440 hertz is a fucking no-no. It's a no-no. We're talking, what was it, 1939, when one of the Rockefellers decided to annihilate 432 hertz from all musical instruments, and worldwide they decided the shit worldwide. What do they give a fuck what kind of hertz we're playing music with? In other words, if you want to have an instrument at 432 hertz, you have to request it, and it's extra money for them to make sure it's at 432 hertz. Did you know that? So anyway, there are guided meditations of 440 hertz. Some don't even have hertz, though they claim it. So now I'm just going to a real company that actually gives a shit. It's like $39. By the way, I'm plugging it, but I'm not getting a dime. I don't care. Buy it, don't buy it. I don't give a shit. But it's good. I found a guy who plays music at 432 hertz in TikTok. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, at this point, my energy is more with going with someone who I know for a fact. And I really love the guy's letter. You know, like I think Moongate there. I wish I could give you more details, but anyway, he has a letter of why he started the whatchamacallit, the app, and I appreciate him doing that. I really do. To me, it was worth it. It was worth it. It's not like I go see movies, whatever. I went, fuck it, I'll do it. And he gives you a 7-day window trial. And you'll see 4 hertz, 5 hertz, and he's got different themes. And he's got one for sleep, focus, relaxation, and meditation. I never use the one on meditation, and I'll tell you why. Because in meditation, I want to be absolutely in my silence. I want my monkey mind to beat the shit out of me so I can control it and treat it like it needs to be treated, which is shut the fuck up. I'm the boss here. You're going to listen to my soul. You're going to serve me, and you're not going to fucking run. You know, you're basically the alpha to the pack, right? And kind of like alpha to your dog, right? Alpha to your fucking monkey mind. I'm not joking when I say that. I mean, quite literally, I mean it. Some videos, I'm like, this doesn't really resonate, so this makes sense. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Heather. All right, my loves, I found it, but, you know, do your thing, Lady B. If you found a guy, it feels good. But like, discern, you know, everyone's hustling. Everyone's like, I remember there's a couple things I saw recently on TikTok, and thank God I checked it, and it was a fucking lie. They just want likes, and they want just follows. And I'm not saying the guy's a fake, okay? Don't get me wrong. But I mean, like, you know, just check it out. Just see, just be careful. Because we have a lot of weird psyop shit going on as well. Because why would Rockefeller give a fuck about 440? Let's be honest, okay? All right, sending you much love on your journey. Make this weekend count. Journal, meditate, chant, breathe, connect with nature, walk barefoot, make a tree your ally, lean against the tree, hug the tree or lean up against it. Do whatever the fuck you need to do to recalibrate, reset, go back to your childhood. A whole list of books I've just put in. If you want to join our book club, you're welcome to. It's on my link tree. You can check it out. And if you do, please have the courtesy to introduce yourself. All right, sending you much love on your journey.